All right, who we have joining us today is none other than our guest, Mr. Quentin Whitehead, who is a motivational speaker, and I believe he is in the studio and hooked up and ready to go. Mr. Quentin, are you in the studio with us?
I am here. I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. It looks like you have such a busy, hectic schedule. You speak all across the country, so I thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. Well, now, Quentin, I've introduced you a little bit, but introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Quentin Whitehead. I am the owner and founder of two companies, Men of Visions Worldwide, LLC, and As Successful As You Want to Be, Incorporated. And I'm a motivational speaker. I speak primarily to youth, but not just limited to youth. I actually started my career speaking to adults, and so I speak to, students from the ages of 12 all the way up. And I travel across the country, and I do a lot of anti-bullying stuff, bully prevention stuff, leadership development, and personal development as well. And so that, in a nutshell, is what I do. I've been doing it now since 2005, so just about a decade now.
Okay, so you started when you started your first company, Men of Vision Worldwide.
Right.
Okay. Now tell us a little bit when you first started. What drove you to become a motivational speaker?
Well, it's funny because I get this question a lot. People want to know how I got started. People want to know what was your inspiration for getting started. And so to give you the abbreviated version, I used to be involved with a company. You may have heard of this or not, but I was involved with a company called Amway Quickstar. And I used to go around and I used to set up board and easels in the living rooms of people, and I would show them a business plan of how to generate more income per month. But I also found myself, while I was doing that, I found myself empowering people and inspiring people and helping them to find their purpose in the process of showing that business plan. And somebody pulled me to the side one night and said, hey, you should look into becoming a motivational speaker. Now, I didn't even know that you can do that for a living. I didn't know that you can make money standing in front of people and doing what I do right now. And so, long story short, I looked into it. I went online. I found my mentor, Kevin Brace, who lives in Sacramento, California. I remember calling my old high school man, my business partner, who's also the co-founder of Men of Visions as well, Denar Mitchell. We called our old high school up. I'll never forget the day. It was April 1st, 2005. We did our very first speaking engagement. We did 6 periods, and we impacted, I believe, over maybe 300 students total that day. And from that point forward, that's when Men of Visions Worldwide was birthed. And notice it's not Man of Vision, it's Men of Vision. I have a business partner who lives in Miami, Florida, who I've known now since the 9th grade. We've been best friends, aces, brothers, whatever, for quite some time now. And he travels across the country and does his individual engagements, and I also travel across the country doing my individual engagements as well. So that's how Men of Visions Worldwide was birthed.
Wow, interesting. Now tell me, the first time or in the beginning stages of you stepping before youth to motivate them, what was your experience like?
It was nerve-wracking. And it was nerve-wracking because I wasn't good. I sucked at it to begin with. And, people don't understand that this is a craft. Although, we inspire and impact people and empower people, it's also a craft as well that you have to get good at. And the one thing that separates youth audiences from any other audience is that youth are very, very honest. And so if you're not good, or if you tell a joke and it wasn't funny, they will let you know. Or if you're boring, they will fall asleep on you right in front of you. And so, that was one of my biggest struggles, one of my first impressions, speaking to the youth, because they're just so honest,
Which I'm glad you said that, and I was going to speak about this towards the end, but there are a lot of people who want to be a motivational speaker, and they think that you just have it. You get out there and you just do it, but you're telling them differently. You have to learn how to motivate people.
Right. Well, you know what? It's a natural thing for some people. Like for me, it's a natural gift that I have in order to do that. However, it's one thing whenever you're by yourself, but it's another thing when you're in front of people. That's the difference. And like I said, it's a craft. It's something that you have to learn, how to master. And I certainly haven't mastered, my craft, but I'm en route to that. But I've learned how to, the different techniques and how to calm my nervousness, and all of that kind of stuff comes with it. Learning how to put together a speech outline and learning how to hook people in, and all of that stuff goes into it. You can't just get up and start bumping your gums and expect people to be inspired and empowered by that. It has to be some structure to your talk, so.
Now, I love your honesty about that, because it's the same as comedy. People will look at comedy and say, oh, you make me laugh all the time. You should be a comedian. And it's not until you have to step out there on a stage in front of hundreds or thousands that you have to make all of them laugh and draw that crowd and get your crowd to them. Well,
Absolutely.
Wow. So now, you're on the path to doing that. You are continuously honing your craft. But tell me, why youth?
Why me?
Why youth? Why do you specify speaking in front of youth? What is the draw
for youth? Got it.
Yes.
Like I told you before, I started off speaking to adults. Now, let me also preface this by saying the reason why I was speaking to adults is because I had no direction in the speaking world yet. And so people don't understand that there's a market within the market. So you have the speaking industry, but then you have little industries within that. So you have youth, you have corporate, you have college, you have leadership organizations, and so you have different target markets within the big market. So when I first started speaking, I was speaking to adults, and I felt at the time, like my message, people always told me I had an old soul. And so for me, my message was always not extremely deep, but my message was always, one that would touch youth, touch adults, although I was 23, 24 when I started, but I remember I was sitting in a training, me and my business partner, we were sitting in a training in Sacramento, California with our mentor. And this older lady stood up and she said, you know what? She said, you guys should speak to the youth. She said that they need to hear you, young African-American men. They need to see you. They need to see how you guys dress. You guys need to be the example that young people see. And because you guys aren't that far removed, it will make it it would make it that much easier for you guys to have connectivity. And so that was the spark for us to focus on the youth. And I can honestly say, my mentor says all the time that the clearer you are, the better chances you have at success. And for me, for 5 years, I was just focused on everybody and everything, and I wasn't having any success or much success. But now that I've, honed in on the youth market, I've had a lot of success. I've been, from coast to coast. I live in North Carolina now, and I just came back from California 2 days ago. So I'm literally traveling from coast to coast, city to city, campus to campus, and I'm doing, young people. And I realized that, for one, I'm not that far removed. For two, they can identify with me. And, I know what they're listening to. I know how they think. I know how they dress. I know how they feel. And so for me, that's my connection with the young people. At some point, as I get older, I'm 32 now, but as I get older, I do want to speak on stages all across the country, to adults who may be struggling with some things, or maybe maybe they're not struggling. Maybe they just want to get some information to further enhance their lives. I can see myself doing that. But as of right now, my primary audience is youth.
You narrowed your topic down to being Mr. Possible, and you speak about anything being possible for youth, which personally I feel like this is an adult message all day long, especially with what adults deal with. But tell me about your topic. What are some of the things that you give to your youth about anything is possible?
Well, this topic actually came from an experience that I watched my mother go through. And so what I do in my message is that I tell my story. I tell my story of being raised in Miami, Florida. And oftentimes when you hear about Miami, Florida, you hear about, how beautiful the city is. You hear about the palm trees. You hear about the beaches. You hear about the landscape and this, that, and the other. But many people don't ever talk about the other side of Miami, and that's the side I grew up in. And so I talk about, how I was raised in, poverty and violence and all that kind of stuff. I talk about how many times me and my family moved throughout the course of, my childhood. And so, just looking at how I was raised, you would think that I would be a statistic. You would think that, things for me wasn't possible. And so what I do is I take them through the evolution of where I was and where I am right now. And so my goal is to help students, and not just students, people in general, to realize what their possibilities are, and then my job is to give them concrete steps on how to accomplish them. And so my goal is that I want you to start thinking about what the possibilities could be, not saying that it should be, because we're not entitled to anything, but I want you to start thinking about, and what I call possibility thinking, start to think about what your possibilities in life could be. If it's to go to college, although you maybe haven't, witnessed anybody in your family go to college, but maybe it's possible for you to do. And so, my whole goal is to get them to realize what they are. And then throughout the course of my talk, I give them some steps on how to accomplish those, how I accomplish those. And I use myself as an example. I should have been a statistic. I should have been in jail. I should have, especially, my older brother, he's 3.5 years older than me. And, he's been in and out of the system and things like that. And so, again, judging from, where I came from, I should have gone down that same path. So what I say to students is that, listen, use me as the example, right? My goal is to take away your excuse as it relates to why you can't succeed. That's my big thing. But the whole it's possible thing came from my mother. My mother, about 8 years ago, was diagnosed with a lung disease. Never smoked a day in her life, and, here she is dealing with a lung disease. And it had gotten so bad to my mom, had gotten so weak and so frail to where she couldn't travel anymore. She had 19% use of one lung. She was on oxygen, for a couple of years and everything, and the doctor had diagnosed her with a terminal disease, and nobody could figure out what that disease was. Long story short, my mom got put on a waiting list for a lung transplant. They gave my mom a buzzer, and one day the buzzer went off. Everybody was all excited, got my mom into the car, but it was a false alarm when they got to the hospital. And,
wow.
Everybody was all down, depressed, despondent, but my mom still said, I still believe that it's possible for me to still live. I still believe at 49 years young, it's still possible to see my grandkids grow up. I still believe that it's possible to see my son travel across the country and inspire lives. And the story goes like this. About 6 months after that, my mom got the buzzer again. They took her to the hospital, and my mom, at 50 years young, my mom had that surgery. And my mom had a double lung transplant. And so the takeaway points from that is this. If my mom was so low, if she was at the point to where she could have lost her life, if she was at the point to where she had 19% use of one lung, I'm just saying, if she could whisper while she was so weak, if she could whisper at 19% use of one lung that it's possible, what's possible for you with your life, your health, your strength? What can you do at 19 years old? Because my mom had 19% use. Okay, well, what can you do? And so I kind of close with that story, empowering them that, listen, your life is bright. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. There's nothing new under the sun. Whatever you want to do, it's possible for you to do that.
Right.
And that's where that came from. And so, again, my goal is not to get them fired up about what they are going to achieve. Life is filled with so many different variables. If we're truly going to get there, it's possible to. And every day when you say it's possible, it just keeps you going in that direction. That's my goal.
Absolutely. That's an inspiring story. That's very, very powerful. So now, how do you, first of all, how do they respond to you? Do you have youth who come up to you afterwards and they can tell you that your story has changed their life, or they have a different outlook? Give me some of those stories.
All the time. All the time. I mean, I have, you know, to me, the highlight of my experience is not during the talk, it's after the talk. Because that's when you can truly look into the eyes of the students who you just impacted. And I mean, I have students come up to me in droves. I mean, just some are crying, especially if I'm doing an anti-bullying talk, because, I may have students come up to me and show me their wrists where they've been cutting themselves, and they say, because of your words. In fact, just to give you a quick story, I was in Minnesota, not this week, but the week prior, and when I got through with my anti-bullying talk, I had a student to come up to me, and she said that I was going to kill myself today, but because of you, that's no longer an option. That's what she said to me. And so, I mean, these are the type of stories that I get, and responses that I get afterwards. To me, that's the highlight, because I can hug you, I can look in your eyes, and I can talk to you, and I can give you some one-on-one words versus speaking to 600 students at once.
And that goes into my next question for you. A lot of times people look at motivational speakers just like they're ministers. And, they look at ministers and pastors like, you guys don't deal with anything. You bring the information to us. You're not affected by it. You're helping to change our situation and our life. But are there times that you're dealing with the very things you're speaking about, and just like that young lady who you changed her life, do they pour back into you, at those times?
Yeah. I deal with stuff all the time. I deal with stuff, and this is something that I try to address with a lot of people, but then again, you don't want to be too transparent with your audience, but I do want to be transparent enough to let them know that, hey, I deal with issues and situations and problems and negative thinking just like you. In my talk, I address self, SELF, because I believe that in order for your life to change, you have to change, right? Like, in order for things to get better, guess what? I have to get better. And so I talk about how to empower self. My first point is see it. I always talk about vision. Vision is extremely important. You got to have something you're aiming at. A person who aims at nothing is sure to hit it every time. Vision is important. So I talk about seeing it. But my next point is elevating your words. And I talk about the power of words, how the power of life and death lies right in your tongue. What you speak is what you get. What you speak is how you feel. And I say, even as a motivational speaker, guys, every day, I have to speak positive, uplifting words to myself every single day. Every day, I have to do that. Like, it's no other option. I can't wave the magic wand. Hey, I'm a speaker, so I can just bypass the fact that that I don't have to speak. No, I have to speak positive, uplifting words to myself every day. I got to get my thinking right every single day. MIT did a study that showed for every positive thought that one person gets in their mind, 16 negative thoughts follow that one positive thought. And so it's imperative that we speak positive words to ourselves, getting our thinking patterns right every day. But the problem is that many people don't understand that. Like, they don't know they have power over their thinking. They think that whatever comes to their mind is no, you can literally change the landscape and the temperature of the thoughts that you think every day, And so, of course, I deal with stuff every day. I'm married. I have 2 kids. I'm running a bit. I mean, I have a lot of stuff going on. And, you probably know, like I know, the more and more that you try to do, the more right you do, the more wrong is going to try to come at you to combat what you're doing that's right. So I deal with that stuff every single day. Every day, absolutely.
Absolutely. And it feels like a barrier that you have to push through, but I can appreciate you being transparent, and I'm sure your audience too, because it lets them know, especially youth, that they're not the only ones dealing with this particular mindset. It happens to everyone, especially with the message coming from you. Now, let's talk about your book. You've started writing, or have you complete both books? You have 2 books out.
Yeah, I have one book who I actually co-authored with some other speakers and authors. That's entitled from mediocre to magnificent, how to make the rest of your life the best of your life. And then me and my business partner, Denard Mitchell, we co-authored a book entitled The Top 10 Tips for High School Success. And that's our bestseller. That's what we sell the most of. And in that book, it is coupled with educational stuff, academic stuff, how to be a great student, but then it also is coupled with self-development and self-empowerment stuff, because as educators, sometimes what they do is that they focus so much on the education piece, but then they forget about the self-development piece. They leave that part out. And so what we wanted to do with this book is we wanted to not only tap into the educational part of it, but also the self-development part of it. I was at Harvard Medical School in the summer. I was training some leaders there for 2 months. And, you know, these are the top students at their school. You know, these students had to be selected in order to come to Harvard Medical School for a 10-day conference. And throughout my tenure there, students were smart, they were sharp, they were studious, they were great. But we had a few students. We had one young lady one night who took 52 pills, tried to take her own life.
Wow.
We had another student who also tried to commit suicide. And so my point is this: academic success does not equate to self-validation. A lot of times our students, and sometimes educators, we think because our students are so smart and sharp that they don't deal with anything. That's not true. Just because you have the degree don't mean you're going to have the confidence to go out there and do something with that degree. And so, again, my goal, education coupled with self-development, because that to me is equally important to your success.
Absolutely. Wow. We're going to get to a couple of questions that's coming in through Facebook and Twitter. If family, if you're just joining us, we're actually in the studio with Quentin Whitehead, who is a possibility coach, and he focuses on bringing out the best in Generation Next. He's a youth motivational speaker speaking to youth and teens and also adults. And if you guys have been listening and you hear some of what he speaks about coming out, you can tell that, you know, this motivation is for us as well. But he's in the studio with us, and I want to make sure that if you have any questions and you want to call in to actually speak with him, you can call in to the number 619-924-0933. Once again, it's 619-924-0933. And again, if you have questions that you want to send in through Facebook and Twitter, continue to send those questions in. We're going to get to those questions actually in just a moment. But I want to ask you one last question before we get to their questions.
Okay.
Now, you have a piece on your website, and I just want to hear what you speak around this because I thought it was very powerful. Dream, ... Tell me about that.
Dream, ... You got to have a dream first. Like, the ... is the other stuff you got to do.
Right.
Right? You know, and so the ... is everything else you put on after the dream. But to me, and again, this is just my opinion, this is just my philosophy. In my opinion, if you don't have a dream, you have nothing. That's just my opinion. And I believe that everybody who's ever been born has the ability to dream. And so my thing is that I want to get people to realize that the dream is first, and then everything after that will help you to make the dream unfold. So dream first, ... Whatever else comes after that, because our journey is going to be different. There's no cookie cutter way, you know, to get you to where you want to go. But everything after that, but the dream has to be first. You got to have something you're aiming at. Yep.
And, you know, and when I first pulled up your information and I'm researching who you are, I heard that clip and I thought that's powerful. Like, he should be speaking to adults. That's where I thought a lot of adults could benefit from your message, because we all have dreams, and you find a lot of adults who are either stuck in corporate America and want to start their own business, you know, so they do have a dream, but it's the ... that prevents you. Well, you have family and kids, and, you know, that ... is so difficult for adults.
Right, and you know what? You know, again, I'm I'm speaking to youth right now. I'm actually in the process of modifying my website to speak to a broader audience. I definitely want to get into some life coaching stuff because, like what you and I are talking about now, this is life coaching stuff. This is stuff that adults need to hear in their lives as well. That ... for me has come through all the stuff that I've learned over the years. And the sad part about adults is that they don't know that a dream exists, or if they do, they don't know how to step out into it. And that's where I want to help you. I was telling my wife the other day, my wife is a psychologist, so we're trying to go into business together because she does, what I do just on a one-on-one basis, where I do it in front of 1,000 people, 1,200 people, whatever. But I told my wife the other day, my goal is to help people find it, right? To find it, whatever it is, whatever that thing that will wake you up in the morning without an alarm clock. That's what I want to help you find. Like your purpose in life, your life's work. Everybody was given at birth your life's work. Now, your life's work ain't my life's work, and my life's work ain't somebody else's life's work. But everybody has something, all right? Many people get up every day and they go to a job that they're miserable on every day, but they don't know how to get out. They don't know how to shift. They don't know how to transform from their job to their dream. They don't understand that there's a dream job that may be out there waiting for them, and then they can step out into the dream.
And I think you're going to have to add to that message when you teach that about fear and everything else that go along with stepping out there to that dream job. There's so much with it. But now we do have a question coming in.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead with your comments.
No, I was just going to say, for people who are dealing with that, listen, fear is a part of the process, right? I mean, as human beings, fear is a part of it. But I heard Les Brown say one time, Les Brown is my mentor's mentor. This is what Les Brown had to say. He said that you got to have courage. He said that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of the fear.
Right.
See, I've been fearful a lot, but I still had to step out because whatever I want is greater than what I currently have. See, it wasn't that I wasn't fearful of it, but Bill Cosby, and I know that mentioning his name right now is it's crazy, but he said something profound one time. Bill Cosby says you have to want it more than you're afraid of it. And when I was working my job, I would listen to people who wanted it, but they were much more afraid to step out than they were to, let go of whatever was making them stop. A lot of people are afraid to step out on the limb, but that's where the fruit is.
Right.
All right? It's flimsy out there on the limb, right? It's flimsy out there. But if you want the fruit, if you want the reward, you got to step out there and get it, because that's where it is. But many people are afraid, like you can't mention security and success in the same sentence. You can't have security and have success at the same time. Every successful person has done away with being secure so that they can have success.
Which is the scariest part. And that's the scariest moment of your life is the crossover. I call it the crossover. It's that crossover period that's the scariest. But you're right. You just have to be led in faith and do it. And I'll say
Can I say this very, very quickly? You whoever you believe in, whether it be God, whether it be Allah, whoever you believe in, whoever you pray to at night, you have to be willing to step out and know that God is your parachute.
Right.
You gotta step out knowing that the universe, because you stepped out, the universe is now going to concede to help you accomplish your dreams. You got to just believe that, and that's just faith, man. Like listen, at some point you're gonna have to believe in something you can't see. That's just That's what success is to me. You have to be willing to believe in something that you can't see right now.
That's powerful. We actually, brother, you are really speaking to a lot of Source Nation out there, because they're sending in some of their comments and some of their questions. And I'm just going to read this comment first, and then we'll get to some of the questions. The comment says, "It is so refreshing to hear you say you did not start out good. I'm always hard on myself, and I think it's supposed to say used to quit pushing for what I dream because I'm not great. I've had to quit looking at other people and compare myself to other people because you don't know their story. But that is what now gets me back on track to continuing what I love to do, knowing that I do not look at other people anymore." Wow, very positive.
You know what? Can I say something very, very quickly? You don't have to be great in order to get started, but you do have to get started in order to be great. Anybody who ever reached the level of greatness never started out good. Never started out good. And we don't see that because we see them on stage, or we see them on television, or we see them, doing whatever it is that they're doing, and we think that they started out that way. But they did not start out that way. But what they did was they held fast to their dreams, and they believed enough to get better. They reinvented themselves. They were coachable. So for that person whose comment you just read, if you're listening, listen. Be willing to be coachable too. Find your mentor in your industry, in your market, whatever it is that you do. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do at the level in which you want to do it. Study them and then respectfully pursue them. For you to get better, you got to get coaching. You got to get somebody that's going to help you. It's hard to see the picture when you're the frame.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I think we've all been there at one point in my career. When you look over at the other person and you're like, wow, they are really just doing it, and I'm struggling. We will forget that everybody starts somewhere. You're looking at the middle of the game or the end of their game, and you just started the game, and we do have to quit comparing ourselves to other people. We have a question that looks like from a youth coming in. It says, "I'm 26. How do I get started with motivational speaking? Do you offer training courses, or have you thought about training youth to speak?"
Yes. Yes, I do. And thank you for that. I do. And again, when I say we, I do everything with my business partner. If you go to www.iwanttospeak.org, there's information there on the coaching program that we have. You can also email me directly at Quentin@QWhitehead.com. And I'll be more than happy to coach you, mentor you, get you on the fast track, not the easy track, on the fast track, to doing what you want to do in the speaking industry and starting to get paid to do it. Absolutely.
Right. Now, what age limit is that for? And they're 26, but what age limit do you have to be to start with the program with you?
Really, there really is no age limit to it. We have some clients who are, just right out of high school, and then we have some other clients who are, 40, 50 years old who's looking to speak. And again, I'm in the youth market, but I'm not just a youth speaker. I speak to everybody. It just so happened that youth is my primary market, but I can help you, if you want to, depending on whatever market you want to speak in. If it's youth, if it's college, if it's leadership stuff, whatever it is, I can help you with that.
Wow. Very good. Very good. We have another question. It looks like from an adult about the youth. It says, "Do you offer one-on-one coaching? My son has just turned 13, and he just can't seem to stay out of trouble, and I'm looking for some type of program for him to go to or someone to listen to. Do you offer any type of one-on-one training?"
Yes. Yes. Yes, I do. Again, if you email me at Quentin@QWhitehead.com, I am, doing life coaching for, again, ages, I go as low as 12. And so I have some parents, who, want me to help and guide and talk to their kids. And so I'll do that and right on up to ages 20, 30, 40 years old. So absolutely. So again, if you email me, I'll definitely be able to provide the services that you're looking for.
Okay, wonderful. And we have a comment from Source Nation that says, once you get past the lion at the door, you will realize that there are a lot of people out there supporting your dreams. Powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
Have you found that to be true yourself?
Absolutely. But the key in that is that you people aren't going to support you in the beginning, especially your family. So don't look for it.
Wow. Wait a minute. Rewind. We need to digest that one. So when you start, you're right. A lot of people won't support you. They're waiting to see what's going to come out of it. But I guess that is true. A lot of people speak about that. Your family tends to not support as well.
Right. And the reason for that is this, because they know you. They know who you are. They know your past. They know your failures. They know all of that. And so what they do is, if you come and run to them with a dream or with something that you now want to do, something you're excited about, they can deflate your dream because they know who you are. Remember when you stopped doing that 10 years ago? You remember when you failed at that last year? You remember when you did that? And so they're bringing all of the baggage that you dealt with, and they're bringing it and putting it right in front of you right now. And you got to be careful of that, because that's something that I dealt with when I started speaking. I'm just gonna say this. One time, I asked my mom. I remember I think I was like 23 or 24, and I really wanted to go to this training my mentor was putting on in Sacramento, and the training was $4,000. And so I asked my mom. I said, "Mom, would you be willing to loan me the money to go?" And my mom was like, "No, I ain't loaning you $4,000 to go to a training. Ain't no training worth $4,000." And she was just going off on me. And I'm like, okay, well, I know next time not to ask you for no money to go to a training. But now that things have blossomed for me, she's now supportive. And so, again, I say to those who are just starting out, be careful who you tell your dreams to. Be careful. That is critical, because there are some dream killers out there, and they may live with you. They may sleep with you. Right. Be careful. Be careful.
Right. Now, you spoke twice about your mentor. Now, how important was it for you to have a mentor, and how did you find your mentor?
Extremely important, because I was a young person who dealt with self. It wasn't self-identity issues, but I dealt with a lot of confidence issues. Like when I first met him, I remember going to this training I just spoke of, and I can remember going. And he had these 15-minute sessions where he sat down with each individual person, and just to talk about, your vision and your dreams, your goals. What are you trying to do? How can I help you with that? The thing I liked about his training is that he kept it very intimate. So it was literally 15 of us at the training, 15 people there. So that way he was able to work with us one-on-one. And I never forget sitting down with him, looking him in his eyes, and saying, "Kevin, I don't think that I can do this." I remember now, mind you, I have the talent, I have the gift, but I didn't believe enough of myself to unleash that gift. I remember telling him, "Man, I don't think I can do this." And later on that night, he had these 15-minute sessions where he gave each person an opportunity to come up to the front of the room and deliver a 15-minute talk, and it was recorded. He had a professional videographer there and photographer there taking pictures and recording that. That way we can have a recorded talk, because a lot of times when you go to a training, it's just information. They don't give you something of substance that you can go home with. So he tried to make his trainings very, very different. But I can remember going up. My business partner introduced me, and I went up there, and that probably was the best talk of my career. I mean, I gave it to him. Not beat myself on the chest, but I gave it to him. But it totally contradicted 2 hours before when I just said, "I don't believe I can do this."
Wow.
And so for me, it was just the confidence issues that I had. And so it was very important for me to have somebody to breathe life into my life. It was very important for me to have somebody who would speak into me. Somebody once said that you have to believe in somebody else's belief in you until your belief in you kicks in. And that's what I needed at the time. And the way that I found him was I used to speak for a company called Making It Count. And they hire speakers like myself, contract us out to go into schools and deliver their material on college and career and things like that. And he was a speaker for them, and he was their top speaker for 6 years. And so I was a little neophyte coming in to come in and certify with the content and what have you. And I can remember seeing him on stage training us. And, we caught eye contact, and, we connected from there. We started talking. He gave me his phone number on the back of the business card, and it was all she wrote from there. And so, I mean, it's just wonderful to have a coach and somebody who you can literally pick the phone up and call and talk to, whether it be about business or whether it be about something, in your personal life. So, but I can say that for my career, for my development in my career, it was absolutely critical because I had the talent, but I didn't have the belief.
Well, so now do you think if you were not connected with that mentor, do you think you would be where you are right now? Do you think it
Probably
was that
not.
impactful in your life?
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely.
So the next question is just in case anybody's listening out there and wants it, do you make yourself available as a mentor, or is that something that you'll think about doing in the future?
Yeah, of course. I do that for a lot of my students who come up to me afterwards because they ask me, hey, would you be willing? Because again, I talk about mentorship in my talk. I talk about some of that in my talk, and so a lot of them come up to me and ask me about mentorship and would you be willing to do that?
Very, very good.
Yep.
Listen, now for those who want to reach you, want to contact you, how can they get in contact with you? And then just let the audience know what venues do you speak at?
The best way to contact me again would be my email, my personal email. That's Quentin, and let me spell it for you because there's everybody spells my name wrong because there's so many different ways to spell Quentin. So let me spell it for you. It's Quentin. Again, that's Quentin at my last name Whitehead.com. And so again, if you email me directly, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. You can also connect with me on social media as well. My Twitter name and my Instagram name. I have a lot of Instagram is like the thing now because all the students they want to see more so than read, so they on Instagram.
Right.
But my Instagram and my Twitter is QW Inspires. That's QW Inspires. So at QW Inspires. That's Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook it is Your Possibility Coach. That is my fan page, and my regular Facebook page, personal page, is Speaker Quentin Whitehead. And as far as venues, I speak everywhere. I speak in cafeterias. I speak in auditoriums. I speak in community halls. I speak in gyms. It really just depends on where the best place would be to fit everybody into one space. And oftentimes I do more than one presentation, especially if a school wants to split up their grade levels. And so you may have sixth graders all in one venue, and then you may have seventh and eighth like that, But I speak pretty much anywhere that they hire me, I go, basically.
Wow. Well, it is. I'm so glad you joined us today. And for family who's out there listening, make sure you connect with this brother. We're going to put his information on our Facebook page. And our webpage. So if you need to go to our page to check him out, you can do that. If you did not get his contact information, we'll have links there. Quentin, thank you again. I thank you for coming on this show and sharing your light and motivating us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, family, if you guys are not blessed with this, I don't know what to say. This brother can motivate you, teen, adults, whoever else has you. He has some positive things to say, and I will just reiterate what he said. You know, if you guys are looking for a mentor, he does that. You know, this is the type of stuff we like to offer on Source Radio Network. You know, giving you guys what you need. If you have youth out there and they need a mentor, reach out to this brother. If you have youth out there, like the one person who did send in a question, if you're still listening, make sure to reach out to this brother. If you have children who you really want a positive influence in their life, reach out to him. If you want this gentleman to come and speak at your venue to your youth, speaking that anything is possible, I encourage you to reach out to him. Positive brother. And once again, you know, we always like to say, he's not just talking about it. He's doing it. He's out there doing it. So we ask you guys to make sure you support him. Listen, I want to thank you for tuning in with me another Wednesday night news with your host LaShae. And before we get off the air, as always, we have to make sure that we thank our sponsors. So this program is